Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining today. I am Eric Mueller, founder and former CEO of Grasp Technologies. I'm thrilled to be moderating this session today. We have an exciting discussion ahead, really focused on empowering you as travel managers to tackle some of the biggest challenges facing our industry today. As we all know, managing corporate travel often feels like you're juggling competing resources, trying to optimize costs, streamlining payments, ensuring compliance, and keeping employees safe and satisfied, first and foremost. And I'm very passionate about that. It's no easy task, especially when you're working with fragmented data and constantly evolving demands. The good news, though, by harnessing the power of data, analytics, innovations in payments, you can unlock efficiencies, save money, and take the traveler experience to a whole new level. And today, we're going to really try and talk about how. I want to introduce our speakers today. First, we have Chris Singh. Please welcome him. He spent 40 years at the Walt Disney Company, really driving innovation in travel technology. He's a key figure in implementing systems that not only automate critical processes like payments and reconciliation, but also generates really valuable data that really will fuel the next generation of travel solutions, including AI enhancements. We also have Chris Wilson, CEO of Grasp Technologies. He's got over 29 years of experience leading tech companies like Nutrient, Hazelcast, and Oracle. He's a proven growth driver in software and really has a passion for using data and AI to revolutionize travel. We also have Mike Duffy. He's head of product and innovation at Grasp. He's spent over 20 years in travel tech. He's really the force behind Grasp data-driven products like Hopper, Grasp Pay, and really helping travel professionals optimize their work. He's got insights into tech and data and the things that are reshaping travel. We also have Tina. Tina Qualbaum brings a deep business travel experience from both the client side as well as the provider side. She led operations at companies like Pfizer, HP, BCD Travel. She's a firm believer in leveraging data to drive informed decisions about travel policies, cost optimization, traveler safety. We're really lucky to have her leading strategic partnerships here at Grasp. I want to welcome you all and thank you for being here today. I hope you get a lot of value out of this. It's going to be an engaging and informative conversation. So feel free to ask questions via the chat screen. And we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. We'll also have a Q&A portion at the end where we'll try and work through some of those questions. If we can, we'll interrupt things and jump in, try and answer your questions as they come up as well. So please interact with us. Let us know what your thoughts are, questions that you might have as we explore how to harness these powerful tools to transform your travel program. Chris Singh, I guess I should probably specify. Let's start with you. Thank you for coming today.
Most
Uh,
welcome.
I'd like you to maybe talk to our audience a little bit about, from a customer perspective, the pain points. You were at Disney since for a while.
Time eternal.
And you led their global travel program. You were also a Grasp customer and remain a good supporter of ours today. What are the common pain points, that clients like yourself faced, and how did Grasp solve those problems for you?
Well, let's start off right away with something that everyone can understand. Payments for non-employees and contractors, especially at hotels, reconciliation, vendor reports, both on the travel transaction and the card, fraud, and of course, the eponymous hotel billing authorization letter. These are the top line issues that most everybody on the corporate side have issues with. Grasp, with my experience with over the years, I found that Grasp is the one that provides automated end-to-end payment solution. I stress automated, point of sale and transactional reports, along with the ability to absorb vendor and agency reports consolidate those with the bank transaction and deliver to the corporation a report that we can then pay the card on time.
I guess just from your perspective before working with Grasp and the processes that you had in place before, what was the time savings that you probably saw from start to finish?
Well, time is money. Prior Grasp, one of the biggest issues with a couple of big issues we had was number one, of course, customer experience at the front desk. When they check in, I'm going to focus on hotel because that's generally where virtual payments processes really help the corporation. So hotel check-in issues, monthly payments of credit card bills. We would have charges basically from a hotel central payment that did not have detail. So a lot of times when we were using the BTAs or the CTAs or the UATP cards, you would see one line item for $50,000 with no idea, no data on how many hotel rooms, who paid for it, which cities, which hotels. So a lot of research was going into those payments, consequently resulting in delayed payments to the credit card, which resulted in of course, penalties and consuming a lot of man hours across the corporation, not only in the travel department, but also the areas that had these private contractors and non-employees traveling, trying to figure out who is using the cards.
Yeah. And when you talk about this, it sounds like it made your job a lot easier. For the end traveler or those, non-employee travelers, how did this change their experience? And then kind of a second, not related question is, how did you use that data you were getting to make, strategic decisions for the company?
Well, the method we had developed when Grasp came along, actually we were able to provide the bookers and the travelers with a copy of the billing letter. So they had that when they would arrive to the hotel, and there's no one who can tell me that their clients, their travelers didn't have a problem at hotel check-in. So that once we put everything into place, the agents were able to quickly make a reservation and get that billing letter out. The booker had the ability to get a copy of the billing letters. So if they got this midnight Saturday night call from their traveler at the front desk saying that the hotel doesn't have the billing and they want to take my credit card, well, as a booker, I have that. I can easily forward that to you or send it to the hotel as a copy, right? And then just the ability of the agents to make that reservation quickly and have that card automatically in the traveler's profile or in the PNR to send to the hotel, that saved a lot of man hours.
That's awesome. Looking at the industry as a whole today, and from your new perspective, looking a little bit on the outside in and working with a lot of different companies, what are the biggest trends or challenges that you see right now, or what should the people on this call be considering or looking at as they kind of take their game to the next level?
Well, I think control, fraud prevention, automation, removing the manual touch. And I'm not talking about servicing problems that come up, because problems will come up. You would have that hotel that's behind God's back that didn't get, they didn't get the memo from the national office, or you have a front desk person and don't even know what a fax machine looks like, right? And then you also have hotel data in the GDS that's outdated, that has an old fax number, an old email, Half of our work today is on systems that have bad data, right? Hotel information in the GDS, a lot of them is outdated. Fax numbers, I mean, we still faxing billing letters and stuff like that. It's time we get rid of those things.
I gotcha. And if anyone has any questions for Chris, please put them in the chat, and we'll be sure to try and have him answer those for us. Tina, I'm going to move to you next. You spent 6 years at Pfizer leading their global travel and card operations, and then at BCD and Hewlett Packard. You've seen a lot of the industry, so I'm going to ask you the same question I asked a few minutes ago. Reflecting on your experience, what are the most common pain points that you think corporate clients face, and how you being at Grasp now is going to help influence those and address those challenges?
Thanks, Eric. It's great to be here. I think, the common thing is there's not one single source of truth. There's a lot of fragmented data that's coming from multiple systems, multiple sources, and obviously echo everything that Chris said about the non-colleague travel or the non-employee travel. But I think also just marrying all the data together. So the ability to take the fragmented data from a lot of disconnected systems and drive it into having meaningful results, being able to tell a story, normalizing it and consolidating it. In all of my roles, it was always very, very challenging. The agency did a good job with their data on what was booked. We could get data from our corporate card provider. That was always challenging to marry. And then you add the complexity of marrying it to our HR system and what was actually expensed after the trip took place. And you could spend hours and days and not get visibility into all categories of spend. So the agency, you have what was booked, air, hotel, car, maybe some ground transportation, things like that. But then you have what actually occurred on the trip, the meal that was eaten, the taxi, the ride share, all of those other components, if the plans changed, if the trip was extended in any way, and then what was finally expensed, and trying to make that into meaningful information to give budget owners the ability to make proactive decisions rather than reactive decisions, and really reduce errors, deliver those actionable insights, and drive efficiency across not only their teams, but from a corporate perspective across the budget.
Yeah. It's always a balance, right? People and profit too. So, I mean, how did having that data, and I'm always putting two weird questions together, but the people and profit thing, you were talking about telling stories and being able to communicate that. Maybe talk a little bit more about that. And then also on the other side of that, what have been your experiences with data quality over the years also?
Yeah, so data quality, what is that? It's a mess. And I think that's also part of the single source of truth, having one interpretation of the data. So, you have segments, you have trips, you have, transactions, you have change fees, you have all of those things, and everybody speaks to them differently. And, what really needs to happen is have a system that's able to normalize the data, the different naming conventions that are part of the corporate card program, part of marrying that to the GDS, marrying that to what's booked directly. And then we can talk about what a user enters into the expense system. And all of those are very different, and trying to have, bring all of that together, normalize it, interpret it the same way, and then be able to tell a story behind it. And I think, it's very difficult to find a provider that can normalize things and to deliver and bring that information together, and then also help tell the story. And I think that's part of it as well. There's a lot more to travel than air, hotel, and car. A lot of sales companies, they never get on an airplane. And so that information is not captured in the booking system from an agency perspective. They just get in their car, they might rent it directly, etc. So that will come out. in the expense reporting and on the corporate card, but not from the agency perspective. So I think bringing that all together and having a common interpretation, having the ability to tell the story to budget owners, and really help them interpret that story. So, some examples of that we were doing at several of the companies that I was part of was looking at behaviors. So how does a road warrior travel differently than the person that goes to a conference 2 or 3 times a year? How does the sales team travel that's different than, in my last role at Pfizer, the research or the scientist or the compliance person or the risk, the person measuring risk from a duty of care perspective. So trying to really understand the personas and how their behaviors are different, how to then in live time adjust policy based on what that data is telling you, be more proactive with your suppliers, personalize those negotiations, and really identify opportunity also into categories that you may or may not have had visibility into until you bring all of that data together. Meal spend, taxi spend, what drives meal spend, are they eating, what type of meals are they eating, and is there an opportunity to negotiate with suppliers or bring in some other types of savings opportunities? So we were really looking at it from a persona perspective, and also then helping budget owners marry that back to the ROI of the trip. So really thinking about, do you need to have a sales meeting every month? Can you have it quarterly? If it's a season team, can you have it biannually or every 2 years instead of annually? Really help them drive those decisions through what the data was telling us.
Yeah. And that's obviously, it sounds like driving a lot of cost savings, right? Through some of those decisions, efficiencies and cost savings, right?
Yeah, I think cost savings and cost avoidance and just making smarter decisions. So really thinking about what are you going to accomplish by taking a trip versus what you could accomplish virtually, and really balancing that. And also looking at it from a wellness component, the wear and tear on the traveler and the duty of care perspective, identifying high risk locations, really keeping abreast of that, and how often travelers are leaving on weekends, how often they're traveling and away from their family or their personal lives, and that type of thing. So really from a talent retention and a talent attraction perspective, we were also doing, looking at it from that perspective.
Yeah. You've been with Grasp a little while now, and you work with our largest clients, quite a few of them. What is it that you're hearing from those clients in terms of what they're looking for?
I think if I had to narrow it down, I would say, 3 things: visibility, automation, and intelligence. I think they're, really wanting deeper visibility into their entire travel ecosystem, how that integrates, making sure that those integrations are seamless, how to connect the data across the multiple platform, whether you're the corporate buyer, whether it's on the payment side, or whether you're, processing data to use for benchmarking and insights against your industry peers, you're using predictive analytics, those types of things. And I think they're really looking at how to automate, the predictable, how to reduce errors, how to become efficient, speed up that reconciliation process, and also, do it fast. They need it in real time, and they need it to be accurate. They need it to be auditable. They need it to, if it's challenged, that you can provide those answers. And really just bringing that entire ecosystem. And it's only getting more and more complex with, all of the things that are out there happening in our industry. We're moving faster than we've ever moved with technology.
Yeah.
It can be intimidating, but I think if we can embrace it, there's really a lot of opportunity. And I think for the buyer community, particularly, you can kind of become the CFO for travel. You can really start to manage that category in a much more proactive way and utilize some of the tools that are out there, whether that's artificial intelligence or automation, enhancing that reconciliation process that Chris talked about. marrying all of that data together, the payment piece with what was booked, with what happened at the hotel, all of those things. And then most importantly, getting things paid on time.
Yeah, it's nice to have those checks and balances. And you used the term auditing. My background before travel was for Bank One, and yeah, it seemed like you're always ending one audit and then starting another one. So data quality has always been paramount, right? So
Eric, if I may jump in here,
yeah,
the one part that we forgetting to forget, and I've been a big proponent of it, is this automated process that Grasp has brings a lot of time saving and ease of booking on the agency side.
hmm
I've always said, we on the corporate side can wish and want all of these things, but the agents are the ones who are actually doing the work, right? So everything we develop has to be done in a way that lifts shortens the work, the keystrokes on an on the agents. And given today with the disruption that NDC is bringing in and making their life difficult, right? Over the years, once we placed Grasp into the process, it shortened their booking time, right? And
yeah,
then when you think about it, the elimination of having to manually do a billing letter, with in my old company's case, thousands of billing letters a month based on the type of business we have been making travel for, and as well as the ease of inserting the process into the OBT, right? So
yeah.
you now can open up the OBT to non-employees booking and giving them a secure method of locking into the OBTs, which of course is a concern for every corporation about non-employees accessing their systems.
Absolutely.
Just want to through that there.
Yeah. And Craig, thanks for your question in the Q&A chat. Chris did answer that. Thanks, Chris, for answering Craig's question in the Q&A. People can see that by clicking the Q&A icon at the bottom of their screen. From here, I'm going to move on to, let's see, Chris Wilson. How are you this morning?
Doing good. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, finally getting settled in at Grasp and getting through all the fun that is running a technology company.
Absolutely.
You've made it look easy, and I know it isn't. You want to talk a little bit about, what's your vision? You come from outside the industry some, and you're fairly new to it, but you've been drinking from a fire hose and spending a lot of time with customers and employees. And what are you most excited about as we start 2025? And what's the vision that you have for Grasp over the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah. Thanks, Eric, and thanks for everything you've done for the company. And you've been great in helping me, get up to speed here at Grasp and, continuing to be involved, which is excellent. And we appreciate that. And, yeah, what's made it, helpful for me and made it, as you said, look easy. It's not easy, but having industry experts like yourself, and then leveraging folks like, Tina and Chris Singh, and everything that they bring to the table, as well as the rest of the Grasp Technologies team, deep expertise in the travel industry, being able to draw upon all of their knowledge, and collective know-how, has allowed us to continue to innovate. So when you ask me kind of what the vision is and what I'm most excited about, it's continuing to make investments in our people, and also in our technology. The whole idea here is that we want to continue to be thought of as that sort of trusted technology partner that our customers and prospects can look to and say, like, okay, these folks understand my pain, right? They know what I'm dealing with, and they're looking for innovative and new ways to help me make this easier. Ultimately, the goal is, for us, we plan to invest in our architecture and upgrading our technology. And this is going to allow us to continue to be that thought leader so that customers can continue to make those strategic decisions based on pulling together all that complex and diverse travel and expense data into something that they can use to, run their businesses more efficiently. You heard Tina talk about this. You've heard Chris Singh talk about that, but it's not just being efficient, which is, time savings is, a concrete ROI, but being more strategic with how they can run their organizations and make investments in their own organizations. And that comes around from having good, clean data. And so our architecture and what we plan to continue to innovate on should be able to enhance our business intelligence and start to introduce artificial intelligence into our offerings. So we plan to continue to do, well, Mike's going to talk to the roadmap in a little bit, so I don't want to take too much away from what he's talking about. But again, putting money into our business so that our customers can get more insights, more data, or better data so they can make those decisions about how to run their organization better and more efficiently.
Yeah, I love that you talked you kind of listed it, people and then infrastructure essentially, or investment in technology. And that's always been the way at Grasp is really people first, because people drive everything, right? You have the best technology in the world. And we've always wanted people to be able to pick up the phone and get someone, because again, we're in an industry of relationships, and it's about the employees, it's about the travelers, making things easy for them first and foremost, making sure they're safe, and then driving decisions with data. So, and yeah, the technological changes, and as you know, we've had a roadmap for a while, and it's great that you're executing on that and rolling out the technology that everyone at Grasp has been working towards for so long. So, investment in those things is really valuable. So you mentioned AI. There's a ton of buzz there. What is the role that you see that AI can play or should be playing in travel management, and how is Grasp going to be an integral part of that?
Yeah, another good question. I mean, Grasp, as you know, has always been about clean, aggregated, and normalized data. And that is fundamentally the backbone to any AI machine learning strategy. I mean, anybody who looks at my profile will see that I worked at a machine learning company for about 3 years, a decade ago, back when ML, had all the buzz, that AI and generative AI is now generating.
Yeah.
But that's the foundation to it all is data, right? It's, garbage in, garbage out. So that is really what we are focused on. But then we plan to, with these investments in our technology, to try to, continue to enable our customers to use what's now generative AI to take the value that they're getting from Grasp to that sort of next level. So, ideally, we'll be able to enable corporate travel managers, TMCs, other corporates, interested parties to use AI to analyze their travel policies, in conjunction with bookings, expenses, any other data feeds that they want to improve their businesses. So, imagine a AI-powered what-if simulations, comparisons, benchmarks, policy optimizations. And what I'll encourage is, the attendees that are, on this call and listening, and we're looking to partner with folks. So if you kind of see this, if this is resonating with you, and this is a journey, this is not something that we think we can, completely solve on our own. Everybody's needs are going to be somewhat unique. Reach out to us, now or after this call, and we'll talk to you one-on-one, and that will help inform our roadmap, and we can then try to make sure we're meeting your needs as we execute against this strategy.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, because I mean everything that Grasp has was not our idea.
Right?
You know, I
Yep.
mean, all my passion and the whole team's passion is always solving problems, right? We love it when someone is told that something can't be done or, there's no way to do this. I mean, that gets our juices flowing, right? So, yeah, and the customers are the critical component of that, and having that engagement and talking with people in the marketplace drives innovation. That's all there is to it. We can't do it, in the dark. Just being smart isn't good enough. It's got to have real world value. So I'm
Yep.
glad you mentioned that. There was something else I was going to mention, which is, a lot of corporations are now looking at investing in their own, large language models and bringing it in-house from a privacy and a security standpoint.
Mhm.
And again, even analytics, I've always said, we'll always provide the tools, but people should be investing in their own tech. And that's kind of the role that Grasp plays sometimes is we're feeding the data to large companies. They don't want to manage the data, but they want to manage the technology stack, which is a good investment for a company if they have the capabilities. If not, we can provide that. But
That's
bring data at the source is great.
Yeah, I just to double down on what you just said. Like if they're looking to invest in the technology and build their own LLM and their own AI, that's fine. But again, it's all about the data that goes
Yeah.
in and feeds that, and we can be that provider. We are that provider, right? And for others that don't have the maybe the budget or the other resources that might be required, we can try to then provide the rest of the stack as much as we can for them as well. So we want to be serving our customers in the way that they need to be served.
And
Yeah.
just jumping in on that, I know I'm ahead of turn here, but in terms of the LLM, what's really beneficial for that, I mean, there's a certain story that you could say an LLM, proprietary LLM would be, significant and helpful, but LLMs are built on data, a lot of data, a lot of quality data. And so, Grasp is that, and I'll touch on that a little bit more when it is my turn, but I just wanted to have that little segue in there.
No, I'm glad. Yeah, actually, I was going to move to you here with my next question, but yeah, and I think it is important because training those machine learning algorithms, training the LLMs, yeah, and we have a massive, I mean, we've got data going back decades, so and have a huge customer base, so yeah, it's really useful. So yeah, let's move on to you. Mike, you want to talk about the roadmap a little bit? What's Grasp looking to do in the future? What innovations are you most excited about?
Yeah, so before that, I'll just take a brief moment just to, I see that Chris Singh has answered Craig's question. That's great. I just wanted to add a little bit more context. I think it's kind of helpful to know the how things are automated in terms of that payment flow. And so the how is that we do have a number of workflows for provisioning those payments, but the one that's sort of most popular is the profile one. We're preloading cards into a profile. As a result, everything automatically works downstream.
Yeah.
There's no swapping of a card in a segment. There's none of that. And an agent may not even know that it's virtual card. They just see a regular credit card because a profile workflow is one that they know. And then the reconciliation, because the cards are unique, and we have a number of different flags on both sides of the payment and of the reservation, the reconciliation is automatic. So I just want to add that in. But yeah, in terms of the roadmap, I'm excited to be adding more data integrations over the course of next year, and I think most of us on the call here would know that Grasp has a large number of connections in the TMC space. Very true. And just as to look at some numbers, we had 20.4% of the air tickets in North America were flowing through Grasp in some form. So that's significant. We sit on a lot of data, and we're just talking on LLMs, and so it'd certainly be helpful there. But we're also going to continue to build connectivity to more back office. 20.4% is a lot of data, but we want to continue to help others with their data needs, and we're going to be doing more plumbing in that regard. And it's not just back offices or GDS, and I think a lot of folks know that we do that really well, but we also connect into expense and card data.
Yeah.
And we'll be adding more of those integrations, and then ideally in a bi-directional format. So where those APIs and the webhooks permit, we may get some connections where the data may not be great, but it can come through our system. We can clean it, we can normalize it, and we can send it back. So that initiative is going to create a larger data lake, but it's also increasing those connections for further automation, bridging the gaps where the travel ecosystem is fragmented. And we know, like, when you see data start at one end and it goes through, and sometimes it loses certain fields, or the quality of the data disappears. And so that's what we're looking to do on the data side. We're acquiring data, transmitting it, cleaning it, and then sending it to another platform through Grasp. On the pay side, we're looking to see how tap to pay and wallets can be supplemented into the travel workflow, to take advantage of that automated reconciliation and reporting, that Chris Singh mentioned earlier. And broadening the scope of the payments too, beyond hotel and air. Other travel types can take advantage of that technology.
But that's being done today already, right?
It is. Yes, exactly. Yeah. An air, for instance, NDC, GraspPay works with NDC transactions. But just there's some, car service, car rental, adding into those, travel types where we can do a virtual card. And then, AI, as we mentioned, what are we doing there? And I know, Chris Wilson just mentioned, touched on that. Our commitment is really harnessing AI to provide that foundational acquisition of data, and then providing that clean, normalized data. And by doing so, that creates higher quality data, smarter decisions, insights, and basically it's ensuring that the data is model ready, ready for the AI, and setting AI up for success.
Yeah. What I heard is, and I know that we're always adding new banking partners in the GraspPay space, new back office systems in the TMC space, new expense systems in the expense space. It goes on and on. So, yeah, that's kind of the thing. And as the technology evolves, and from what I've seen from the roadmap too, is there's a huge focus on that. It is continuing to build on that, and the new infrastructure really supports that with the real-time streaming data and that kind of thing, implement Kafka in that, and totally cloud-based. So yeah, it makes it very easy for us to onboard quickly new data sources and stuff. So
Exactly.
I'm really inspired and a little jealous because I miss the days of getting my hands dirty. So it's tough to watch from afar. But can you talk about, you had mentioned, or it was mentioned before, that customers drive success and evolution and product. Can you talk about how Grasp and what your approach is to gathering customer feedback and making sure that what we're building is a good fit for what the customer needs are?
Yeah. We have multiple channels around that. The way we get feedback from customers. We do, conventional surveys, and I think a lot of companies do that. But we also look at having strategic roundtables, and we've done a number of these throughout the years, whether that's in person or virtually. And we're hearing, not only from clients, we also want to know beyond that too, non-clients, prospects, others in the industry, what's happening in their business, trends they're seeing, pain points they're encountering. Just to get a really good sense of, what is happening on a broad perspective. But then we also have these one-on-one conversations as well. And that's where I think, two of the most powerful sources of our input is directly from, customer/prospects to our sales team, or to our customer success team. I mean, our success team and support there, I think they're amazing. And when you look at the various metrics for us, on NPS, Capterra reviews, you'll notice that the ratings are not only high, but they speak highly to the responsiveness, and then also the expertise. We all come from both travel and travel and tech. So there's a lot of great knowledge there, and people are, listening, and they're asking the right questions, to dig deeper, to see what the underlying pain points are and how we can help.
Yeah, it's funny. The client services team is probably one of our greatest sources of revenue, right? Referrals and things like that, because they are talking to the customer every day, on the phone, through email, through chat, and hearing what the customer needs are, and when they see opportunities, they definitely forward that and funnel that to you and obviously to the rest of the leadership team. So we're aware of what's going on the front lines all the time. So I think that's really
Absolutely.
good. I want to thank all the speakers. Anybody else have any other questions or comments from the panelists, the things that they may have thought of along the way? And then if anyone on this webinar has any questions, please use the Q&A and we'll use the remaining time we have to answer as many questions as we can. Chris Singh, thoughts, inspirations?
Well, at this point in time, I mean, I'm only sad that after 40 years now, we're looking at all of these things. I wish back in the day I had all of this automation and AI and tap and pay. All I could think about is the many years we suffered through doing these things manually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tina, any closing thoughts or wishes or dreams or challenges?
Yeah, I think I would echo everything Chris said. The ability to automate, some of the pain points and bring that to life is exciting to be a part of. I think the other thing that I think sets Grasp apart is what we've been talking about. There's so much industry knowledge, and it's not just travel. It's payment, it's expense, it's travel, it's the whole ecosystem. It's NDC, it's ARC, it's the way things are reconciled in the entire ecosystem. So I think that really does distinguish us a lot, and excited to be a part of it.
Great. There is another question from Craig. We have all chased the holy grail of fully integrated travel procurement, duty of care, expense reconciliation, strategic procurement, and traveler experience. Has anyone solved this challenge? If so, what off the shelf works best with others? Surely, well, some platforms work better than others for that integration, duty of care, expense reconciliation. So, does anybody want to talk to that?
It's one of the reasons we went full in on Grasp.
Yeah.
Because we were able to come back as an off-the-shelf thing. We didn't have we bought it on the shelf, off the shelf, and was able to integrate it with the OBT agency and our in-house reconciliation tool. So as a solution, we put this into place some years ago and refined it over time to the point where, as everyone know, we announced it a couple of years ago. We're able to pass the billing instructions directly to hotels' PMS system, which literally reduced the check-in issues from about 10% to maybe 2%, especially on the graveyard shift. So, for me, that's the holy grail, getting rid of the billing letters and then jumping over to tap and pay. Yeah. So as an off-the-shelf system, Craig, this fulfilled what we needed as a corporation and still does today.
Yeah, thanks for the question. One kind of random question, I'm going to put everybody on the spot here. We've been talking about AI. What is each of the panelists their favorite AI tool? When they have a question or something to create, what do you use? I'll start with Chris Wilson. What's your favorite AI tool?
Yeah, I'm using Perplexity.
Okay.
Yep.
Tina?
I've used, ChatGPT like everybody, Perplexity a little bit. There's some good things with Copilot happening. If you happen to be able to, use that as a pilot, those would be mine right now.
Well, great. I also wanted to thank Brenda for your comment about using GraspPay successfully. and our analytics platform. So appreciate the feedback on that. Chris Singh, what are you using?
Well, in my new retirement world, I have barely had need to go looking to create anything, but I have dabbled with ChatGPT just as a curiosity thing, you know.
Yeah.
So
What, you don't cook, you don't have hobbies yet?
Yeah, I'm relying on good old, you know, what's between the ears here. Try not to let it get dull.
Yeah. I think in a given day I probably use 3 or 4 different ones. I love things that can create infographics. There's some great tools out there for that. I swap between Gemini and ChatGPT and Claude, and it just depends on what my use case is, right? But yeah, it's increased my productivity by 10,000%. I mean, my ability to have something draft something for me, with a series of prompts. I'll do 5 or 6 seeding prompts and then ask it what I want, and it's so close, and then you just kind of keep pushing it, and the responses get better. It's amazing how much work it can help you accomplish in a single day.
Yeah, and Roger had a question in the Q&A on that exact topic as well. What kind of success? I mean, yeah, using it just to, run the business day to day. I don't have all the answers. Eric says I made it look easy. Like, I got a lot of help, trust me, from a lot of good people and also from Perplexity. Like, just asking general business questions, and what do you think about this? How should I approach this problem? I need a contract amendment drafted, so it'll help me draft a contract amendment. All sorts of stuff like that is how I'm using it. And this is using public LLMs, right? So imagine how you could then use that with, as Mike was talking about, sort of a private LLM. And that's kind of where, from a business standpoint and a roadmap standpoint, we're looking to figure out how we can help our customers, use it in that sense for running their business with that travel, focus and that depth of data, that could go into there to help it be applicable and useful to you all running your businesses.
Yeah, you load policy, you load travel history, you load finance, you load strategy, and then you ask questions, and it gives you insights, which is going to be, I mean, I can't even imagine what the world's going to be like in 2 years, right? We used to talk 10-year roadmap, and then we talk 5-year roadmap. Now 3-year is even, dreaming. Pretty much we're on a 90-day cycle, right? We're reevaluating things every 90 days. So the time frame and the acceleration of this new technology is beyond my wildest dreams. I love it. Any other closing questions, comments? Well, I really want to thank everybody for attending today. We appreciate the questions. We appreciate you taking time out of your very busy day to listen to our speakers, and hopefully you've gotten some insight and some things. Obviously, if you need anything, if you have data challenges, payment challenges, anything travel related, and honestly, it doesn't matter what it is. You can always call us at Grasp, and we'll help you find the solution. If it's not something we provide, there's a lot of great suppliers, providers in the travel space, and we're always happy to do introductions. So I want to thank everybody again, and I hope you have the great rest of your week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.